Welcome to A Fathered Home, a podcast from Faith and Flow, where heaven meets moms in the real world. I'm Marlies, and every week we spend just a few minutes together discovering practical, faith-filled encouragement to help you renew your mind, strengthen your heart, and walk a little closer with God. Let's dive right in. The golden rule of life. So before we start, my kids are home and you might hear them in the background. They're playing outside. Exam time and over the weekend and just fun. Okay, so the golden rule of life. Matthew 7 verse 12, and it's in another place in Luke as well. You can go check that out. Says, this is the one from Matthew 7 verse 12 in the Bible. Says, in everything, therefore, treat people the same way you want them to treat you. Do unto others as you would have them done unto you. That is what it's all about. So this is called the golden rule of life, and it is so powerful that even people that are not Christians believe in this rule. And I think if we start implementing this rule into our everyday lives and actually teach our children this, the world will be such a better place. Think about kids fighting. The first thing I always do is I say, what's the rule? What's the rule? And then, thinking about the other person, if I do this to you, but I don't want you to do the same thing to me. It's that kind of mentality that we have to teach them. So if you think about you're standing in a queue somewhere, long queue, and it's boring, and there's an old guy or lady, or old man or woman standing behind you, would you not have, if you are in that position, you're struggling to stand, you might have pain in your knees, whatever it is, would you not like someone to stand up for you and say, you know what, why don't you come stand in front? Think about gossip, because I know that this is a thing in our schools especially. Oh, I hear this so much, and then I think, would you like it if someone else is talking about you this way? So in everything that you do, even when something happens at school maybe, and there's an unfair situation where the teacher is just horrible to your child, or whatever the case may be, any difficult kind of situation, if you were in that position, that person, how would you like to be treated? Thinking of more about the other person than yourself, but in yourself in that position as well. So rather than freak out and you are unfair and my child didn't deserve this, and whatever we think of as moms, and we do, and that's okay because we are moms, rather think, okay, this person made a mistake now, but how would I like to be treated if I were in that position? I would rather have a mom come to me and tell me, look, you know what, this was really not a fair thing that you did, instead of lashing out. So it's also a way of a bit of emotional regulation when it comes to treating other people and having other people influence your emotions, where you can rather go, that person is also a human being with emotions, and instead of letting their actions influence your emotions, you can rather say, if I were in that position, what would I like someone to do to me? How would I like someone else to treat me or to respond to the situation that happened? So of course this is now much more complicated than I'm explaining to my kids. So all that it's really about is about thinking of the other person, and if you were in their shoes, would you have done this to yourself? That's mainly what it's all about. So I think a thing that happened with, just the way the world evolved, is we were taught from a young age that we have to stand up for ourselves. We must fight our own battles. I've heard this a lot as a child as well. You have to be assertive and fight for yourself, and that is kind of the opposite of this, even though if you do it lovingly and if you do it with a kind heart, then yes, we need to stand up for ourselves, and yes, we need to do this. But while doing that, think of the other person. Think of if you were in their shoes. This is a very important lesson to me, something that is very close to my heart, that I live by. I use this almost on a daily basis for my kids, to really think of that other person. And even when someone does something to me and I feel this is now very unfair, or someone just made me angry, what is going on in their life? It helps to put everything just a little bit more in perspective. So, and I'm sure most of you know this. You've heard this somewhere before in your life. It's something that we also heard, it's like all of these teachings, and how do we implement everything into your life, because there's so many things we need to think about and do. This, I think, if you really take this to heart, this is like a reminder today to just remember that other person is also a human being with emotions. And if I were to do this to myself, would I be okay with that? And I think if we can get this mentality, especially to the kids, life would be so different. It would be a kinder world to live in. So that's a very important lesson for me personally, for the kids, and for grown-ups as well, to help you with your emotions. And I've met so many people that holds onto grudges, and they just can't forgive, and they just refuse to see this other person's point of view. And if you keep this rule in mind, then you won't hold on to that grudge. You will be able to forgive, because you will understand that if you were in that position, would you really have acted differently? Would you really have, how would you have reacted? And then maybe going to that person and saying, okay, maybe it was really something terrible that they did to you, or really made you angry, but still dealing with the consequences thereof, and then going in a loving way to that person and just saying, I didn't like what you did to me. I'm thinking especially in a home set up with husband and so on. It's important to talk about it, and to try to make the other person understand that just like you are now coming to them with love and care, and putting myself in your shoes, try to put that person in your shoes as well, vice versa, so that you can come to understanding, or whatever it is. This is where you find balance. This is like balancing emotions and balancing reactions. If you first go and you think, how would I have done this? How would I have reacted? How would I have felt in that person's shoes? Or even, you saying something about someone. Would I like it if someone says this about me, or do this to me, whatever the case may be? But this takes time as well. It takes time to... So remember, the subconscious mind, everything you do is like a programming. So it's an action of over and over and over. So start practicing this and start teaching the kids this. And if something happens, just remind yourself, okay, no, wait, let's just go back to the golden rule of life and start from there. For the kids as well, especially for the kids, teach them this rule. It is important. Thank you for spending these few minutes with me today. If this episode encouraged you and you'd like to continue your journey, you'll find faith-filled journals, Bible studies, guided resources, and more at the Faith and Flow shop. And if you're a mom rebuilding after divorce and would like personal support, I'd love to invite you to book a free clarity session with me. You'll find all the links down below in the show notes. Until next time, keep flowing with faith, and may your home always be fathered by His presence.